My name is Mariam Shahin, and I've been reporting from in and around Gaza for nearly 20 years. I've always been impressed by the extraordinary spirit of the people of Gaza in times of peace and war. But watching the images of Gaza under fire in 2009, I find it hard to think that there was once a moment of hope for this strip of land on the Mediterranean. Gaza is something of a makeshift home to more than 1 million Palestinians. Many are refugees or descendants of refugees from the 1948 war, which saw the establishment of the State of Israel. In 1967, Gaza was occupied by the Israelis. They eventually withdrew 38 years later, in September 2005. 7 months before the Israeli withdrawal, I moved to Gaza. Israel's Prime Minister had already announced disengagement plans, and there was an air of optimism in Gaza. I wanted to make a film about this new mood of hope. When I moved to Gaza to a high-rise by the sea, I heard the people there talk of Gaza becoming the Singapore of the Mediterranean, a small place with big potential. In the summer of 2005, a few months before the Israeli withdrawal, I filmed these high school students about to graduate. They were elite by Gaza standards, studying at the American International School. All were full of optimism. Hala Abdul Wahab was the class president.
Not only are we graduates, we are delegates of a better future, diplomats of AISG, Palestine, and humanity. Thank you.
Back then, hope was everywhere. With the Israelis getting ready to pull out, Gazans were talking of rebuilding and reviving this once vibrant coastal city. These were the young people, the next generation, who would help achieve that bright future. But of course, everything turned out differently. Israel's recent onslaught on Gaza began at the end of 2008 and continued into 2009. I am left wondering what has become of those happy young people I met. I discovered one of the graduates was still in Gaza, but I was unable to contact her. I did manage to speak to one of her classmates who had left Gaza in recent years and is now studying at the American University of Cairo. Hello, Yasmin. It's Mariam. I'm calling from Ramallah.
I saw that two F-16 bombs destroyed the school, travel and ashes, and that there is nothing left, and that they killed the guard who has been the guard for the last 8 years. And I saw that there is nothing left in the school, and that the future of the students of the school is like buried under the rubble now.
Back in 2005, I met Jawdat al-Khudari, an antiquities collector. We sat in his remarkable garden, surrounded by fruit trees and honeybees, cacti, and singing birds. Jawdat had collected fantastic antiquities from Gaza's past.
This is the original Gaza. If you want to see and imagine how Gaza looks in my dreams and in the past, you can see Gaza here. That's it, as simple as.
In 2005, Jawdat showed me the many artifacts he had collected, dating back as far as the Philistine era. He had turned his spacious home into a makeshift museum.
2,500 years BC. This is the oldest piece which I have.
Jawdat owned a construction company in Gaza, but his true passion was collecting things from Gaza City's rich history. In the Arab world, Gaza is known as the City of Hashem, a reference to the Prophet Muhammad's grandfather. a merchant who is believed to have died in Gaza. Down through the centuries, the grave of Hashem and the mosque which houses it became an object of pilgrimage for Muslims from all over the world.
Gaza, in general, either in heritage, in economy, in business, in politics, just need a hope for a better future. Give the people here a hope for the future.
In 2008, Jawdat al-Khudri had donated his antiquities collection to the Gaza Museum, which he had helped finance. But then the war came. I wondered if the museum, together with Gaza's other cultural sites, had been damaged in this latest war. Jawdat was visiting his daughters in Cairo when Israel launched its war on Gaza at the end of 2008. A few weeks later, I managed to track him down in Ramallah, where he was waiting to get back to Gaza to be with his wife and 3 boys.
There is no hope. Perhaps this is the first time in history the civilians caught in such a war have no chance to flee the conflict.
Back in 2005, I also met Sami Abdul Shafi, a business management consultant who had spent half his life in San Francisco before returning to his native Gaza, just prior to Israel's withdrawal. He wanted to take part in building a new Gaza.
Just imagine for a minute, what would Gaza be like if in fact there is freedom of movement at crossing points? If in fact we could have a small port that could import and export goods, you will immediately see an increase in the chances of development. You will see an almost immediate increase in innovation.
Shortly after the 2005 Israeli withdrawal, I joined Sami and his wife Najla for an evening at a local restaurant. The Israelis had left, but they still made their presence felt. As we sat down for dinner, an Israeli helicopter gunship hovered overhead.
Mariam, instead of stargazing, we're Apache gazing.
Even then, in 2005, I had noticed Sami's hopes begin to evaporate. 2009, and Sami is still in Gaza. He no longer spoke of Gaza as a business opportunity. Now it was a matter of simple survival.
The situation in the Gaza Strip has been very difficult since the beginning of the war. So many people were forced to leave their homes several times. I personally know several families who have moved 3 to 4 times to seek safety, and yet they were unable to find any safe place in the Gaza Strip.
Yet Sami remained defiant.
It is no less of a very clear statement that the anti-peace camp in Israel wants to destroy the civilian population of the Gaza Strip and to destroy its potential to go forward and to join the competitive and peace-loving nations around the world. But they will fail because the spirit of the Gaza Strip will never die, even after such huge devastation.
This place is called the Beach Refugee Camp. Situated on the coast, it was established in 1948 as a makeshift home for the Palestinian refugees who had flocked into Gaza from surrounding areas during the war of that year. More than 60 years on, generations of Palestinian refugees have lived here, waiting to return to their homes. Back in 2005, I met a group of girls in the camp who were hoping to transcend their ghetto life and achieve something against the odds. They were the one and only Palestinian girls rowing team. 16-year-old Fatima Nasser was the team's lead rower.
My dream is to compete for Palestine and to make my people proud that we have a girls' team. I love competitions.
Fatima and her team had trained for years on these machines. Back then, they were waiting for the delivery of rowing boats to Gaza, but the boats never came. They were seized by the Israelis for so-called security reasons.
My hope is that we will compete all over the world and that we will show everyone that even we in Palestine can accomplish great things.
The girls had expected things would change after the Israeli withdrawal of 2005. But like for other Palestinians, such hopes are now all in the past. More than 3 years later, I tried to contact Fatima. I wanted to know how she had coped with this war. I was concerned since I knew Fatima's home was close to the home of one of the Hamas leaders and a likely target for Israel.
When the Jews began to attack us, on the first day I was at school. I think one of the bombs fell close to our school. We didn't know what was going on. We went home quickly. We could have been hit. The bombs were falling and we were still on our way home. My sisters and I don't sleep anymore. The helicopters are hovering over our neighborhood around the clock. Our future is lost. I fear that bombs will fall on our house at any moment. It's made of asbestos. We are 6 people at home. People like us haven't really lived. My sisters and I haven't lived yet, and we want to live. We want to live like all other people.